my beautiful people, and welcome back to Wine Chat. My name is Emma and I am a certified sommelier with a mission to spread wine knowledge and help you drink better wine. Today we are on part 2 of our Rosé series, and we're going to dive in a little bit further into the history of Rosé and some of the major milestones that have happened pretty much over the last 100 years in Rosé's history. So as I did mention in our last video, many of the first types of wine were kind of the early versions of Rosé, light styles of wines that were field blends of red and white grapes that were fermented together and then watered down, as in ancient Greece it was civilized to drink watered down wine, and if you drank it full strength you were considered barbaric. In the 6th century BC, the Phoenicians brought grapevines from ancient Greece over to what we know as modern day Marseille, which is in the heart of Rosé County. And here the trend continued of making a wine with a blend of red and white grapes. This wine would be naturally light in color, and these wines soon became popular all over the Mediterranean. Fast forward a bit in time to the 19th century, and Rosé started to become a bit of a symbol of kind of summertime, luxury, leisure, as lots of European tourists would flock to places like Provence and all over south of France, and they would spend their vacations sitting by the seaside or sitting in the hills of southern France with a glass of delicious Rosé in their hand. Moving into the 20th century, where we have a few of Rosé's kind of major milestones. And unfortunately for Rosé, they're not all the most positive. Now, both of the stories I'm going to tell you did kind of further the accessibility of Rosé and perhaps got more people into drinking Rosé, but really at what cost to Rosé's reputation? So the first thing that happened was in the mid-20th century was the creation of 2 off-dry, which means just a little bit sweet, pink wines coming from Portugal. Now, these wines became super popular with mainstream wine drinkers, and you can still find them on supermarket shelves today. And to be honest, you probably drank it when you were starting out with wine. I know I see them as like cheaper options. They're fun, they're a little bit sweeter, but really what they did back in the day was make people think of Rosé as those wines. So the wines that I'm talking about, of course, is Mateus and Fascia, or Lancers as it was known in the States. So these wines exploded with popularity worldwide, but many customers started to turn up their noses at the quality of these wines, and Rosé became thought of as a novelty product that was inexpensive, made in bulk, and sweet. The next thing that happened comes from the USA, but did expand all over the globe. I mean, I remember being back in New Zealand when I was 18, and I did drink some of my white Zinfandel. It was a cheap option. I had never really got into wine. I mean, I was just legal to drink, and it was sweet and it was fun. But the story of white Zinfandel goes back to a winery in Napa Valley called Sutter Home Family Vineyards, and they created the kind of first real white Zin in 1972. But it wasn't until 1975 that the sweet wine Zinfandel that we know today was created. And by accident, may I add. So stuck fermentation occurred, which means that not all the sugar was fully converted over to alcohol, and it resulted in a slightly sweet wine. Instead of trying to fix the wine and get the sugar out of it, they just decided to leave it as is and just sell it and see what happens. And what happened was it spread like wildfire, and throughout the 1980s and 1990s, white Zin was incredibly popular, especially in the USA. And many other wineries got in on the kind of white Zin boom. But lots of them were producing wine that was really cheap and made in bulk. And so this just really continued the image of Rosé being quite a novelty product and not thought of as a serious wine. Thankfully, these days, there are some wineries that are making really serious white Zinfandel rosés, such as Turley in California, making wines that are more Provençal in style, but still have very much Californian heart. Now moving on to the early 2000s, and dry rosé's popularity thankfully started to rise, with many customers starting to become quite calorie conscious and looking for a drier option and something with not any sugar in it. The burst of celebrity rosé brands has also helped to bring rosés back into the mainstream and helped to shake off the sexist stigma that surrounds rosé wine. Marketed in a similar way to jewelry, fragrance, or even watches, celebrity rosé brands are selling an aspirational lifestyle and something that's elegant yet unpretentious. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie helped to start the rosé revolution when they brought Chateau Miraval in Côte de Provence in 2011. Nowadays, you can find rosés from celebrities such as Bon Jovi, Sarah Jessica Parker, John Legend, Drew Barrymore, even Post Malone. Now, I have been asked the question before, what do celebrities like Bon Jovi or John Legend or Kylie Minogue know about making great rosé? And the truth is, they don't really need to know anything, because in their chateaus or in the brands that they have lent their name to are wine consultants, winemakers, viticulturists, all working behind the curtain to create a suitable product for them to sell. Now, would I consider these wines to be serious rosés? No. I haven't tried all of them because there is a lot out there on the market, but the ones that I have tried, not bad wines, definitely drinkable, very nice to chill it down and take to the park for a picnic, for something not to be too serious. But what I think is really so great about having kind of celebrity brands selling their dry Côte de Provence style rosés is they're really bridging a gap between the sweeter rosés that people might have drunk when they were younger, or they saw their grandparents drinking and something that got them into rosé, and now they're drinking this, which is really kind of a step up. And for me, anything that kind of moves the market towards drinking more serious, better quality made wines is a step in the right direction for me. So that's all for today, team. Stay tuned for Rosé Part 3 coming very soon, in which I'm going to run you through some of my personal favorite rosés, including some rosés that are surprisingly age-worthy. Thank you so much for watching today, and if you have any comments or suggestions about anything else you would like to know about rosé wine, please leave a comment below. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, drink better, be better.